There are specific hours, days, and situations when being in a hospital becomes significantly more dangerous, and most patients have no idea when they're at highest risk. Let's start with the most dangerous time of day, overnight, specifically 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. This is when hospitals are at their most vulnerable. Staffing is at minimum levels. Senior doctors aren't in the building. You're being cared for by residents or on-call physicians who don't know your case. Nurses are stretched thin, often managing twice as many patients as during day shifts. Pharmacy services are reduced. Lab processing is slower. Here's what this means for you. If something goes wrong at 3 a.m., response times are longer. If you need an emergency procedure, it takes longer to assemble the team. If you have a complication, the people treating you are less experienced and less familiar with your case. Studies show that patients who have medical emergencies overnight have worse outcomes than those who have the same emergencies during daytime hours. Now let's talk about the most dangerous day of the week, weekends, especially Sundays. The weekend effect is real and well documented. Patients admitted to hospitals on weekends have higher mortality rates than those admitted on weekdays. Why? Reduced staffing, fewer senior physicians, delays in getting tests and procedures. Operating rooms have limited availability. Specialists aren't readily available. Here's the data. Studies show that patients admitted on weekends are 10 to 15% more likely to die within 30 days compared to weekday admissions. If you need surgery on a weekend, you're more likely to experience complications. If you have a stroke on Sunday, you're less likely to receive timely intervention. If you're learning when hospitals are most dangerous, hit subscribe. We're revealing the hidden patterns that affect your survival chances. Let's talk about the most dangerous time of year, July. This is when new medical residents start. In teaching hospitals, fresh medical school graduates become first-year residents on July 1st. They're learning on the job, and you're their practice. Studies have found the July effect, a spike in medical errors and patient mortality in teaching hospitals during July and August. Here's what's happening. These new doctors are smart and trained, but they lack experience. They're making decisions they've never made before. They're performing procedures for the first time on real patients. The entire hospital's experience level drops temporarily. Now here's a dangerous time most people don't think about. Shift changes. Hospitals have handoffs at 7 a.m., 3 p.m., and 11 p.m. when nursing shifts change. During handoffs, critical information can be lost. The outgoing nurse tells the incoming nurse about your status, but details get missed. Here's what studies show. Medical errors spike during shift change periods. Your call button might go unanswered longer because staff are in handoff meetings. If you develop new symptoms right at shift change, they might not get reported immediately. The 30 minutes before and after shift changes are vulnerable times. Let's discuss another dangerous time, immediately after surgery. The first 24 to 48 hours post-op are when most surgical complications occur. Bleeding, infections, blood clots, medication reactions. These typically happen in the immediate post-operative period. You're at your most vulnerable. Here's what makes this especially dangerous. If your surgery ends at 8 p.m. and you're recovering overnight, you hit the dangerous overnight hours right when you're at highest post-surgical risk. This combination, post-op vulnerability plus reduced overnight staffing, is a perfect storm for complications. Here's something most patients don't realize. The danger isn't just about when you're in the hospital, but also how long you've been there. Each day you spend hospitalized increases your risk. Now let's talk about prolonged hospitalizations. The longer you're in the hospital, the higher your risk of hospital-acquired infections, pressure ulcers, blood clots, delirium, and muscle atrophy. Studies show that mortality risk increases with each additional day of hospitalization beyond what's medically necessary. Here's why this happens. Hospitals are full of sick people and antibiotic-resistant bacteria. The longer you're there, the more exposure you have. Your immune system is already compromised. You're sedentary in bed. All of this makes you progressively more vulnerable. Let's talk about the most dangerous patient status, being transferred between units. When you move from the ICU to a regular floor, or from emergency department to a hospital bed, information gets lost. Different computer systems, different teams, different protocols. Here's what goes wrong. Medication orders get missed during transfers. Allergies don't get communicated. Recent lab results aren't available to the new team. The receiving nurses don't know your baseline status. Patients are at highest risk during the first few hours after transfer. If this is revealing dangerous patterns you never noticed, make sure you're subscribed. We're exposing when hospital systems are most likely to fail you. Now here's a dangerous time specific to certain procedures. Having major surgery on Friday afternoon. Your surgeon finishes the operation late Friday. You're recovering over the weekend when staffing is reduced. If you develop complications Saturday or Sunday, the full surgical team isn't available. Here's what surgeons know. Elective surgeries scheduled for Friday afternoons have higher complication rates than the same surgeries done Monday through Thursday. It's not that the surgery itself is done worse. It's that the post-operative care environment is less robust over the weekend. Let's talk about dangerous times during your stay. When you're NPO, nothing by mouth. When you can't eat or drink because of upcoming procedures, you're at risk for dehydration, electrolyte imbalances, and hypoglycemia. If the NPO order isn't discontinued promptly after the procedure, you might go 24+ hours without nutrition. Here's what happens. The procedure gets delayed. You're NPO from midnight for an 8 a.m. procedure. The procedure doesn't happen until 4 p.m. Nobody updates your orders to allow food. You've now gone 16+ hours without food or water. Now let's discuss the dangerous time when you're first admitted. The first 24 hours of hospitalization are critical. Diagnoses are being established. Medications are being reconciled. Errors in initial orders, missed allergies, or incorrect medical history can cascade into serious problems. Here's the specific danger. Admission medication reconciliation errors. You take 10 medications at home. During admission, a nurse asks you to list them. You forget one, or you get the dose wrong. Now you're not getting a critical medication, and nobody realizes for days. Let's talk about the most dangerous hospital circumstance. Being a patient during a code blue nearby. When a cardiac arrest happens on your hospital floor, every available staff member responds to that code. Your nurse might leave to help. Response to your call button will be delayed. Here's what patients don't see. During a code, the entire floor's staffing is disrupted. One patient gets concentrated attention while other patients get reduced attention. If multiple emergencies happen simultaneously, the system becomes overwhelmed. Here's a dangerous time related to your specific condition. The period right before you're stable enough for discharge. Hospitals want to discharge patients as soon as medically safe to free up beds. Now let's talk about a dangerous administrative time. When your insurance coverage is running out. Insurance companies set limits on hospital days for specific diagnoses. When you're approaching that limit, there's pressure to discharge you whether or not you're truly ready. Here's what happens. You're improving, but not fully recovered. Insurance says they'll only cover one more day. The hospital discharges you to avoid financial loss. You're sent home before you're truly stable. Within days, you're back in the ER with complications. Let's discuss the most dangerous combination. Being elderly, hospitalized overnight, on a weekend, after recent transfer. When multiple risk factors combine, danger multiplies. An 80-year-old patient admitted Friday evening, transferred to a new unit Saturday morning, developing complications Saturday night. This patient is in the highest risk scenario possible. The most dangerous time to be in a hospital is when multiple vulnerability factors align. Overnight hours, weekend days, shift changes, post-operative periods, transfers between units, and prolonged stays. Understanding these patterns doesn't mean you can always avoid them, but it means you can be more vigilant during high-risk times. Ensure family advocates are present and speak up immediately if something seems wrong. The hospital system has built-in weaknesses during certain times, and patients who recognize these patterns can protect themselves better than those who assume care quality is constant around the clock.